Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. The 2023 American Liberty design candidates have been released. Let's explore! Indeed, there was a meeting on the 14th of February, and some designs have been released for discussion amongst those at the Citizens Coin Advisory Committee, and their meeting images have been released. Now, unless you were able to listen into that call, you don't know what they had recommended. And on their website, we're not able to see the meeting notes yet, or the transcript, or the audio file. So we are left guessing as to what they chose, but we're going to take a look at these. And as you can see here, some of these look the same because one is for the gold coin and the other is for the silver medal. As to what form that will take, we don't know. Since the inception of the program in 2015, some of these medals have been released in staggered years. In other words, we may see a silver medal in 2024. Others have shown different sizes, like, for instance, a 2.5-ounce silver medal in 2019, the same year as the 2019 American Liberty. And also in 2018, there was a 10th-ounce gold coin for the American Liberty. And that was released the prior year in 2017. So without further ado, we're going to go through these one by one and critique the designs. And there's some innovative, pretty interesting, and unique representations of liberty here. The first is a very bold representation of liberty as holding up. I guess there's a sort of a common theme here, I think, that I'm guessing is perseverance. And you persevere, although this guy looks to be pretty strapped, holding up this from essentially, this thing looks like it's going to come down on him like a ton of bricks, or at least like a wall. He's holding it up. That doesn't look very liberating to me. And it's kind of a different kind of a profile or a representation, and there's no reverse that matches it. In other words, this thing is just standing on its own. I'm not a big fan of this design at all. I think it would be fine for some sort of medal, but it does not represent liberty. And you may persevere, and you can persevere and be free at the same time, but this looks rather burdensome in my view. And there is the silver medal version. Obviously, In God We Trust is not there. And next is going to be a tree, an old oak tree, apparently, that represents the perseverance. It looks like it's very old, so it is persevering indeed here. Although I don't necessarily am a big fan of this either. It looks kind of contorted. In fact, one may make the interpretation that this looks like some sort of strange alien creature with its tentacles pointing out, and that looks like an eye to me. I don't know how well that would translate to metal. It's a very strange and odd-looking tree. I think they could have found a different shape to represent the perseverance of liberty there if you're going to use a tree. Obviously, this would be quite unique, just like the Mustang was for 2021. Bucking off the oppression of the British government at the time. This is perseverance. We shall persevere is a slogan that would be used on the medal. So again, it looks like there is this theme of perseverance in these here. Here is a perseverance of the women voter in 1920 getting the right to vote. As we can see here, this is what this represents here for liberty as shared here. So it's actually kind of a neat design, although I don't know that I would necessarily tie the theme of perseverance with liberty to any particular cause. So I don't know that that would be advisable, at least from my standpoint. Liberty is something that transcends. Even if you use the theme of perseverance, it transcends any particular cause, because that could seem to be political. Which reminds me of a design selection that was a candidate in the previous run. Thankfully, that didn't make it either, so there's the metal version. Moving ahead, this is quite interesting. This is a little bit of a different take on Liberty. There's Lady Liberty there with a laurel wreath here, and then the torch of Liberty. And we can see that there is a wall behind. She's sitting down. It appears to be she's sitting down, but it's really kind of difficult to tell because there's no real semblance of legs shown here. Obviously, there's a flag she's sitting on, and so I don't know how that really would translate either, unless the flag is draped around her, and that is the other part of the flag. I don't know. And this interesting item behind her, though, has an interesting and unique design element. I'm not sure really what that is, but that is, I think, the best so far. But I'm still not a big fan of it myself because you can't tell if she's standing or sitting or leaning up against something. Maybe she's kind of leaning up something, but she almost appears to be kind of putting out the vibes there, just kind of leaning up against there, if that is what she's doing, leaning against that wall. But it's really hard to tell, really is there. I don't know how that would translate either. And again, this is the silver medal version. Now this one here is perseverance. Definitely can see that message here of a rock climber going, not just climbing on the underface of a rock. Presumably she is going to climb up and over the top of it, but she is persevering here in a rock climbing stance. I don't know that this really translates well, because this to me just speaks of an adventure. There's no real freedom. Yeah, you can climb, but you're tethered. You're still tethered for safety. And I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this design. I'm not sure that this translates well. Yes, I do get it. If you're persevering, climbing, and you're on the underside of a rock and you want to get through to the top. But I would think if you want to show freedom and liberty, it's overcoming that rock and being on the top and standing up there with the arms stretched out. But that's just me. It's interesting anyway. So there we go. So there is that. And then again, without the motto, and we can see it here for the silver medal. I do hope they don't choose that one. Not the biggest fan. This one here, I think, is okay. Although the idea of just a hand holding the torch, breaking the chains that bind us, I think is a fairly universal message that could translate well. Now, it's a kind of interesting there. Liberty there is there between the broken chain links, although I'm not a big fan of the font, and I almost would say that the torch could stand there without the hand, because it just, I don't know, kind of tethers it, but that's just my personal opinion here. But nonetheless, I think it's a kind of a nice design, and there it is without the motto. Not a big fan of that font. This one here is quite interesting. She's breaking the chains of liberty, or breaking the chains of bondage there, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, that is at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, at the pedestal. There are chains that are broken. But here we see that she is definitely enveloped in the flag on both sides, and it looks to be there's Pegasus in the background. There's a winged horse. To this Pegasus, that's kind of a little bit different and unique. I'm not sure the connection there, but you're persevering to break those chains, and so there that is. And again, without the motto for the silver medal. Again, this is another strictly themed, and it appears that this is tied down to the Mayflower. It looks like you have settlers from the Mayflower here. There's a reason why I think that is what this is when you see another design here. A man and a woman settler, perhaps persevering through the harsh winter of 1620, 1621. Could be the case. But this is another one of those situations where I think that we'd be better left not tying perseverance theme with liberty to any particular event, organization, or a group of people. And so, therefore, I would not be a fan of this design. There it is without the motto. That one appears to be slightly lighter. I guess it's the same. It's a little bit lighter there. And again, here we go. We can see that this appears to show the Mayflower in the distance with the sun and the man and the woman there coming ashore to persevere. Again, not a big fan of this either. I think that's just, and there they are without the ship in the background, just the figures here. Not a big fan. Don't really get what they were going for with choosing that. This design, I think, is fairly nice. I like this. And I even like the fonts on this one and how they put 2023. That's kind of interesting. In God We Trust. It is standing, Lady Liberty standing tall, and you can see that the wind is behind her, blowing her hair. And then you have the Liberty Bell in the background there. I think that's pretty cool. We've not seen that since the Franklin $50. So that's pretty cool. She's persevering on. Yes, indeed. I kind of like that. Stoic. And there it is. There's the, and then the only difference between these is the location of In God We Trust. That is the only difference. I kind of like this one better than that one where In God We Trust is. Moving ahead, we have another version, which I also like, of Liberty 2023. This is a little different the way Liberty is. And God We Trust is on the bell. I think that's pretty cool looking. And again, the wind is to her back, blowing her hair that way. That's pretty interesting. Although, to me, it seems like it should be the other way around. If you want to persevere, you're pushing against the wind. And the hair will be blowing back the other way. So I don't understand that. That's the only drawback. And we see that with this one as well, too. To me, it seems like the hair should be going the other way because you're persevering, moving against the wind. Not the wind to your back. Now here's another one that I think, and again, although it's a relatively nice design, it looks like you have a Minuteman or a Revolutionary War soldier persevering, moving more towards victory. But again, this ties to one event. Now, if there's going to be one event that one should say represents what persevering towards liberty, this certainly would be it, the Revolutionary War. But nonetheless, there he is pushing towards liberty, and that has not, I guess it is one of those things, but the cannon in the background, there almost needs to be landscape because it looks like the cannon's just floating in the air there. And there it is again. So here's another one. Valley Forge is Perseverance for Liberty. Again, the design is nice, but you're tying one specific event within the Revolutionary War for Perseverance for Liberty. I'm not necessarily a big fan of this. Here's another one where Liberty is wearing mountain boots, propped up against something there with her dog, and just chilling out next to a shield. I don't know if I like that either. That looks awkward to me. Moving through these a little bit faster now, we can see here, this seems to exemplify freedom for black Americans from slavery. And again, I'm not against that kind of perseverance to win liberty, but again, that's tying one event, one organization or group of people for freedom. And even though we obviously are for that, I don't think it should be tied to the general concept of liberty or even perseverance. It should be something for all Americans, not just one group of people or one event. And then here's another one, Breaking the Chains of Bondage for Liberty. I'm not a big fan of that. Just the way the sun is, it looks cut off there. Not a big fan with the design elements or anything like that. Moving ahead here, this is interesting. This almost alludes to another carving in Mount Rushmore of a female Lady Liberty here. Very odd how that is placed in there. I'm not sure I like that either. And it's an interesting concept. I don't know how that would translate to the metal. Now here is the reverse side. Let's take a look at these. Very interesting. There's some good designs here. I really like this design. This reminds me of the 1987 Constitution $5 commemorative. But that's a very well done eagle. That one would be very nice to have. In fact, I think the eagle should be bigger and move these words around to other parts of the coin to make that eagle stand out and become the absolute focus of the coin and metal. Here's one with the eagle in flight. Looks like he's sifting for plankton. I think eagles with mouths open do not really translate well to coin design, and there's too much of the eagle cut off there. I'm not a big fan of that, although it's not a horrible design. And there it is, with a little bit more of the bird showing. And again, the mouth open just does not is not appealing to me anyway. I'm not a big fan of that font either. This is a design that was conceived for the Bullion American Eagle program, either the silver or gold, and got really close to being picked. I think it should have been on the Gold Eagle. I think that'd have been great. In fact, I think the Eagle should have probably been fully shown on there, moved more towards the left here, and those rays come out to show those rays. It would have been so cool. But this is a nice design too. I like that. There it is in silver. There is the Eagle in flight. This is reminiscent of what was used on the platinum coin some years ago, although the Eagle is in flight, and I know that this wing looks like it's clipped, but it's really not. It's facing towards you. That does not translate well. I think they should have had this wing out a little bit more, because it looks like the wing is literally cut off. We know it's not. We understand what they're going for there, but it just does not translate well. Also, not a big fan of italicized text on our coins either. It's on the 2021 Washington and Delaware, crossing the Delaware quarter too, and it did not translate well here. Here it is without the mottos. Here's another version of it too. This is a better version of the Eagle in flight with that angle, although the Eagle looks a bit chubby here, like a turkey. So that is a bit awkward there in my view. Moving ahead to the next one, this is a nice design, although I think the Eagle probably could have been just a little bit larger to fill up the space completely on the coin without cutting it off, but that's nice. There it is without the slogans. I think something should replace it, like Flight, Perseverance, or something. I don't know. This is a nice design. This was also one that was a contender, but I think that we should not clip off the feathers here. The Eagle could have been moved down and over so that you can get the whole Eagle in there. Here's one carrying a laurel. I think that's a laurel branch there. Not a big fan of that. The Eagle carrying something in his mouth. But nonetheless, there it is. Nice, but again, I don't like the clipped wing. But that gets most of the feathers in there, which is better than what we've had on the Eagle. Now this is relatively unique. It's strange how these three feathers are poked out here. So I don't know that I'm necessarily a big fan of that. And the composition is a bit off with the beak over. It's kind of strange how that head is such a long neck there. And then this Eagle in flight. This is pretty nice. I kind of like that. The whole Eagle is inside the design there. So that's pretty interesting. And then a perched Eagle on an arrow. That's unique. That's a little different. I kind of like that. And the way they did $100, it's pretty unique. Well done. Another perched Eagle on an arrow. Very nice. And then here's one in flight carrying a branch there. Eagle in flight. And there's an Eagle perched on a rock, and that looks fairly nice as well. I kind of like that look. That is pretty cool. And then here is one, I think we're getting near the end here, with the Eagle holding a banner, kind of stylized heraldic eagle with the what appears to be some branches but no arrows that I see there, oak branch and laurel branch. And that's it. We've gotten to the end. So there's the designs. Pretty interesting indeed. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.